Hello everyone, your favorite night out here, coming back to talk about my little old scout rifle again. This time I'd just like to talk about the general concept, development of it, and acquiring one of these scout rifles, plus a general review of the concept of a scout rifle. Like, share, and subscribe. Alrighty then, let's get on with it, shall we? The scout rifle concept was developed by an individual called Jeff Cooper. It slowly developed over time into the modern iteration of it, of which the closest rifle on the market to the original concept of a scout rifle, to my knowledge, is the Steyr Scout. The Steyr Scout is about 3-4 times the cost of this particular interpretation of a scout rifle. Thus by, guess what I do not own? A Steyr Scout. However, after having used this interpretation of the Scout, I became quite the fan of the concept and sought out to learn about it more. Now, most of the information going to be used in this video comes from a particular source. Hope the glare ain't too bad. The Scout Rifle Study, The History of the Scout Rifle and Its Place in the 21st Century by Richard Mon. Very good book, applicable to more than just the idea of a scout rifle, including just general idea of riflery. A lot of good exercises to learn in there as well. On the market, there are another number of interpretations of the scout rifle. The Savage 11 Scout and the Steyr Scout are the closest to my knowledge. The idea of a scout rifle is it would have an 18 to 20 inch barrel, with exception of anything chambered in .243 Winchester, which is one of the three main calibers in the concept of a scout rifle. It was .308, .708, and .243 Winchester. This is chambered in .308, one of my favorite calibers. The idea was a compact, quick handling rifle that would be able to penetrate the vitals of a 200-pound animal at 400 paces. Effectively, that would be, I want to say, about 400 yards, depending on the pace in question you're using as your basis. There is more than one avenue in order to acquire a scout rifle. You can buy a mass-produced equivalent of it, of which there are a number on the market, as previously mentioned. However, you could take another route. Gunsmithing. Either learning it yourself, which takes just a little time and a little practice. Here's an interesting book that might interest you, Gunsmithing Made Easy, by Bruce M. Tosley. Oh dear, I hear someone ring-a-dinging me in the distance. This is currently my favorite rifle. Now, the application of a scout rifle is in that of property defense, and on top of that, as a hunting rifle, and a modern interpretation of a frontiers rifle. This is a very nice rifle, and I greatly enjoy owning it, and wouldn't mind eventually having one scout rifle made from a pre-existing hunting rifle that can be modified into one. Simply learn to gunsmith yourself, or pay your gunsmith to take a pre-existing hunting rifle, which you can buy budget brand hunting rifles on sale around the holidays, and have it modified into a scout rifle. The key components: forward mounting for optics, and auxiliary iron sights. A scout rifle doesn't necessarily need a means of rapid reload, but that is always a good option. There are a number of surplus rifles on the market that are modified into scouts, as I've noticed a number of individuals, some of whom I even know, who have modified Mosin Nagats into scout rifles, as they are, at the time of making this video, still fairly reasonably priced. Although, in my personal opinion, buying a Steyr or Savage 11 Scout or Steyr outright, it would be the better choice. However, there are other rifles on the market which do fit into the general idea of a scout rifle, straight out the box. There was, a while back, the Savage 11 Hog rifle, and I believe Howa made a modified version of their 1500 for a little bit that was also a hog rifle that fit within to the general idea of a scout rifle, and it was fairly reasonably priced as well. There are a number of older bolt actions, such as Remington 600 and 660s, which could be modified into a scout setup if you still have access to them, with essentially minimum to no modification. They are very nice rifles if you have the pleasure of owning one. Over here, the forward mounting optic serves in order to enhance one's peripheral vision, especially if you learn to shoot with both eyes open. Scout rifles by themselves are a very good concept. After having used this one, a rifle that I plan to own more of at some point in my future. I certainly intend to try the different versions of the scout rifle and to have one made. In fact, a aforementioned book has a couple of those standard hunting rifles modified into a scout setup. There's also a number of cases where I've seen people modify lever action and semi-autos into a scout configuration. Although there is a weight limit on what was to be considered a scout, which was no greater than 7.7 pounds. A good scout rifle, in my opinion, should have ability to rapid reload, but that's not necessarily needed depending on the circumstances you need. Now, these can be used quite effectively for property defense, and if you have a particularly large house with long hallways and halls in general, home protection as well. When I refer to property protection versus home protection, home defense is within the confines of the home. Property would be, say, your yard, which for some people can be 20 or more acres, of which I feel the scout rifle would be an excellent choice. There are also, this would make an excellent prepper rifle. Here's another magazine I have available. For this particular model, the magazines are not cheap, which is quite unfortunate. Although, a lot of magazines you can find for the various scout rifles tend to not be very cheap as well. Although out of the available models, this would be my preferred. The next scout rifle I intend to own will be one that is a traditional hunting rifle modified into a scout configuration, just to give it a try. I wouldn't mind trying a pseudo-scout, which would be a scout rifle chambered in a long-action rather than a short action. And also a Super Scout, which would be in a short action Magnum cartridge, which I imagine will be fairly hard recoiling, but I'm not very recoil sensitive, so that's fine for me. I would generally recommend individuals at least consider the concept of scout rifle after doing some research. As currently, out of all the rifles owned, this is my favorite, although I guess that makes me biased in that regard. Alrighty then. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for your time, and I guess I'll see everyone around.